Whether you drive a car,
need a car,
or just occasionally bum a ride with friends,
you've come to the right place.
Join Jill and Tom as they break down everything that's going on in the auto world.
New car reviews,
Shopping tips,
driving green,
electric cars,
classic cars,
and plenty of great guests.
This is the Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast.
All right, this is the Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast. I am indeed Tom Appel. Thanks for joining us today. When you have a moment, and if you can get past my scratchy voice, when you have a moment, check us out at consumerguide.com. A lot going out there, a lot of reviews I've written, plus some fun stuff. I wrote about the future of Jaguar, which I think is up in the air, so you want to read that too. But also you can stream our podcast right there on the homepage. With me today in studio is Jill Ciminillo. She is a North American Car of the Year juror. She is managing editor at Pickup Truckless SUV Talk.
Yay!
And a freelancer. So she says.
Yeah.
You've never forwarded me a freelance piece of work. So
yes, I have.
Have you?
Yeah, the
All
drive.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess that's freelance. I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Because that's a good land.
Yeah.
The drive, respectable, good stuff. All right. I'm scratchy. I don't know why. I really don't know why.
Should I be sitting 6 feet away from you right now?
I don't think so.
As we are sitting in a closed door studio.
I drank for the first time in like months.
Okay.
Saturday night.
Alcohol, water?
Tanqueray and tonics.
Got it. Okay.
That doesn't, like, I had two very strong, very large Tanqueray and tonics.
Okay.
Over 4 hours. That shouldn't have done it.
But apparently you did it.
I am out of practice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
All right. A lot going on this week.
Yeah.
A lot going on. We have Sam Abuelsamid of Guidehouse Insights joining us.
Yes.
People who don't know him, he's a little inside baseball. But if you are in the industry, he's a voice you want to hear.
Yep, and he does freelance work for Forbes, and he's the North American Car of the Year juror as well.
Yeah, smart guy, informed guy, and I'm proud to have him on the show.
Yes.
All right, I got to get some stuff off my chest real quick. Here is a letter, Jill.
Okay.
And when I say here's a letter, it's always bad news, right?
Well, yeah, just as long as it's bad news for you.
But it starts good, and this guy is nice. And so, hi, Tom. I just listened to your show from earlier this week. That's good.
Yay.
Not only do I love the car stuff in general, excellent, but being 64, I usually know all the answers to your quiz. Good quiz on Chrysler this week, which I aced. Poor young Jill. He actually wrote that in parentheses. Poor young Jill. This is where it gets bad.
Okay.
He's very polite.
Okay.
However, as you trailed off from your quiz, you mentioned that Avanti was the last Studebaker.
Oh.
At this point, I guess you know it's not.
No, clearly it is not.
Sir, you of all people should know that Studebaker produced and imported cars from Canada until 1966. The Commander, the Cruiser, and the Daytona limped into 1966 with minor changes and dual headlights. The 65 with quad headlights was more attractive. I actually think that the Gran Turismo Hawk was more stylish than the Avanti. Steve King of Steve and Johnny fame, big fan of the Hawk.
Okay.
Love the show. It's my must-to listen to every week. Love, Celio. He didn't say love. He said regards. Celio, thanks for reaching out. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the correction. I don't like wrong stuff, even if I am the wrong stuff purveyor.
Yes.
All right.
No, and I mean, I would encourage anybody who hears something that isn't right, or if they want to jump into this discussion, please send us an email. We love email.
Yeah, carstuff@consumerguide.com. Carstuff@consumerguide.com. You can also just go Facebook.
Yes.
To the Car Stuff Podcast right there. A follow-up on our American Made Index.
Yes.
Every Monroney label, every window sticker has a little line on it that's final assembly point.
Yes.
That's where you will know the country of origin. You'll even know the plant. So I have here, this is 2023, a 2023 Cadillac Escalade. Oh, the V Series. Cool. The Escalade V. Window sticker. This car was a... $155,000. The final assembly point was Arlington, Texas. Country of origin for the engine and the transmission was the U.S. So these major components are listed on here as well. So if you want to know that,
yes,
there you go.
It's on the sticker sheet. You know what else is on the sticker sheet? As I'm looking at the back of that, the fuel economy.
Yeah, 11 city, 16 highway.
Ouch.
However, the funny thing about this, I think I got like 15 when I drove one, this one. But when I started at Consumer Guide back in the earlier days of big, silly SUVs, and I'm not saying this one is silly, but we had a Navigator.
It's kind of silly.
We had a Navigator in. It was a long-term car. We had it for a year. Not only was that car always in the shop, it got like 10 miles per gallon. But that was still a 4-speed auto, which was one of the problems.
Yeah.
All right, I'm checking things off here pretty quickly. I hope you're keeping up.
Where are we at again?
Oh, I didn't even tell you we were going to talk about this, but Fisker has sold its inventory.
Oh, okay.
A judge cleared Fisker to sell it to an unnamed licensing leasing firm that is going to lease these vehicles to ride-hailing people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to know if this company that just bought 3,000 Fiskers is in a position to keep them running. So the whole deal came to $46 million, or about the $15,000 a piece we were talking about. Or I guess we were talking $14,000 a piece. Yeah.
Well, and I will have you know, like, I was traveling a little bit last week, but I'd mentioned last week that I wanted to try and get a handle on how vehicles would be repaired, because like every Fisker Ocean has been recalled, and I've been gathering information. I haven't written the article yet, but I have some like.
But there's an answer.
There's kind of an answer. There's kind of an answer, and I even reached out to Fisker, and lo and behold, they replied to me.
Really?
I was very surprised.
Was it Henrik himself?
No, it was not Henrik.
Because they fired his secretary.
Yeah, no, it was not Henrik, but they have a communications director who actually replied. So I was
They're trying
overjoyed.
not to close down.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying not to close down. They have future products they want to develop, and they really want to partner.
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
Yeah, and so, you know, there is a story, there is something coming, and Fisker is still responsive.
If you have $1.5–2 billion you don't know what to do with, and you like electric cars, call Fisker.
Yeah, maybe they should team up with Ineos.
That's not crazy.
Right?
That's not crazy.
Heard it here first, folks.
Ineos
$1 million idea.
Ineos has got the deep pockets.
Yeah.
I had recently made fun of the Infiniti QX80.
Yep.
Which I call the worst vehicle in its class.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Because it is.
Yeah.
I've got the new one coming.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
Yeah,
I've heard good things.
I have heard good things.
Yeah.
I do not like the QX60. So
I do.
The third row is unusable.
Yes, I mean it's not unusable. It's not great.
Pretty much unusable.
You could still the important thing for the third row is that you can throw kids that just played soccer back there.
Yeah, but then they'll sit there with their chin in their chest because the
little kids.
Seats like push the head forward. I don't like it. But at any rate, I will be very curious to hear what you have to say about the QX80 because I have heard good things.
Okay. Another thing, and I just want to get this off my chest, and
Okay.
I've complained about this before. Really, really, really long model names.
Okay.
I just finished writing a review of the 2024 Lexus IS 500 F Sport Performance Premium. So I have a new rule, and this is going to be applied industry-wide beginning immediately. Manufacturers get 4 syllables after the brand.
You know what? Whenever I post
And
a
I'm just not
headline
going to write the rest.
for a review, I just say like Lexus IS.
That's a good headline. So the 2024 Toyota RAV4 TRD Off-Road becomes the 2024 Toyota RAV4 Tra.
No, it just becomes Toyota RAV4. Period.
Tra. All right, that's it. A thing we've been forgetting to do for weeks is thank new listeners. We had a boffo June.
Oh.
A lot of new listeners, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And-
As you like to say, go on to iTunes, give us a review.
Yes, we do want the reviews. July, the first 2 weeks, a little sleepy because people
Yeah.
are on vacation, holiday. But good this week already.
Yeah, I was going to say, you would think that on the road trips, people would like to download the podcast.
You would think so, but you got the whole family in the car.
We're family friendly.
That's
Well, I'm family friendly. You
did-
swear.
You spelled out the S word the other day.
Yeah, I spelled it. They
don't
family
swear.
friendly. You swear.
I don't.
You do.
This news comes in from Automotive News today. We know Jeep sales are down.
Yes.
But an interesting development, Grand Wagoneer and Wagoneer sales are up.
Yeah.
Way up.
Yeah.
So that's the big SUVs that compete with the Escalade on the top end and the Suburban on the bottom end.
Yeah.
And they do price them across that whole range now. But it's interesting to see those start to catch on. They're not bad vehicles.
No, but when you say that they're up, they're way up, you have to keep in mind, I feel like last year at this time, they were just starting production, so they sold like 1,000 vehicles.
Yeah, no, the Wagoneer is up from, this is, I believe, first half last year from 14,000 to 30,000, and the Grand Wagoneer from 5,300 to 7,500.
Yeah.
So those are substantial increases, still
Yeah.
far below like General Motors numbers in that category. But these are money makers.
Yeah, they really are.
So.
And I like the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer, and the Grand Wagoneer, that Macintosh sound system is pretty special.
That is mind-blowing.
It is.
That
it's
is
very
such
special.
a good stereo.
Yeah.
Do the kids still call it a stereo?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just call it a radio.
I use stereo if I'm talking about I'm trying to avoid
radio, audio.
Well, I'm trying to avoid using audio system 3 times in a paragraph. So
Sound system?
I'll use audio system, sound system, and then I'll just break down and go stereo. And I know someone's like, that guy's 70. He's using the word stereo.
Just don't use the word boombox.
Why?
Because apparently you're old if you had one.
Yeah. I did own a boombox. You had to own a good one in those days. Back in the day. All right. Quick poll from Twitter. Which is more popular? Which is cooler? That was the question.
Okay.
That's all the clue that listeners got. Our readers, ex-users got.
Xers?
Yeah, Xers. HHR or PT Cruiser? Those are the heritage little. I guess we could call them crossovers, little wagons from Chevy and Chrysler.
Yeah. Can I vote neither?
Wow. I really like one of them.
The PT Cruiser looks like a hearse. And, I mean, maybe the HHR. I guess if I had to pick one, HHR.
It was HHR 65 to 35%. I love the HHR. I thought it was a great little car. And the SS was cool as heck.
Yeah.
You can get a little turbocharged 2-liter in that thing. It kind of hauled. And if you can find one without the windows, the panel van with the SS package, with the chrome wheels, you got something pretty rare on your hands. All right. Did I get through everything? There was a lot of stuff.
Well, except for the TLX, which we are going to talk about.
Yeah, that's next.
Yeah?
I think I got through every one of my complaints.
Every one of your complaints.
All right. We did good. And you recently drove the Acura TLX.
Yes.
Interesting car because it is perhaps the last car like that in the class.
Why do you say that?
Because it is overtly sporty. Its natural state is pretty sporty.
Okay.
It's nothing like, say, the Lexus ES.
No.
Which the ES is way roomier, too.
No. And since Toyota has done away with the Camry TRD, which was sporty.
Yeah.
I really, really have been enjoying this car. It's comfortable, it's fun. It's like 300. I have the Type S model, so it's like 355
So that's the
horsepower.
top trim level.
Yeah, 355 horsepower. Yes, if I could get the words out. But you know, it's funny because we talked about the Acura MDX last week, and the infotainment system got an overhaul. Well, the TLX still has the old infotainment system.
Well, see, we're running into that. I just reviewed the Lexus IS, which has this hybrid system where it now has a touchscreen, but it still has the trackpad.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with the lingering elements of this old system, but they're not going to go in and update this car. The volume is too low.
Yeah.
And the TLX sales are way down on this bad boy. Only 4,200 in the first 6 months of this year, and it's a shame because it's a great car.
You know, it really is.
And it's a car.
It's a car, and you know, it's very like comfortable, fun to drive. I've been having fun. I haven't even looked at my fuel economy numbers because frankly they're not going to be good because I've been, you know, zipping in and out of traffic and using the off, you know, passes and just generally having fun with it. But it's compact enough to fit in urban environments. It's zippy enough to do well on the highway. But it's still really functional for the things that you need to do. So, like, I think you could put, I mean, I'm not meaning to speak to the class of people who would buy this, but I think my mother has a walker. So I think in terms of those kinds of things, like, I think you could put a walker in the trunk and it would be easy to get in and out. And plus
I'm going to guess that doesn't happen a lot.
Probably not. But easy egress, ingress, you know, it's not one of those hard vehicles to get in and out of.
If I had twin daughters, I would have named them.
Egress, ingress?
Yeah.
And then call them like Iggy and Iggy?
No.
Okay.
No, just...
Ingress and egress.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. You're weird. Thank God you only had a daughter. And Harper's name is very cool.
Yeah, she dodged a bullet.
She definitely dodged a bullet. But no, I love this. I love the Type S. I do not love the infotainment system. It just, having this vehicle right after the MDX really reinforced how hideous I think this system is. And the funny thing is, when I posted videos about the MDX and said, hallelujah, they got rid of that True Touchpad, so many owners are like, I love the True Touchpad.
They didn't love it. They own the vehicle. They've owned the vehicle for 4 or 5 years, and they're used to it.
Yeah.
And you get used to stuff that's weird.
Don't know how I
remember when I got into my Maxima. I bought a 1999 Maxima years and years ago, manual transmission, no equipment at all, but delightful car, onto which I threw really good tires, and it made it pretty nice handling. But I cannot remember what it was about the audio system that flummoxed me, and I hated it. There was something about the audio system I hated. But after like a month, I never thought about it again. Like, it's yours, you own it, you get used to it.
But I just, like, we've been using this system for years, and I've never been able to get used to it. Like the Mazda rotary dial thing, like that I've been able to get used to. But
people should know what that is, because it's interesting. The Mazda rotary dial, which is largely panned by the automotive media, uses like an old BMW iDrive system, where it's a large knob, and you descend through menus by pressing the knob down, and then you rotate through the sub-menus, and then you finally select by pressing down again. This sounds awkward, but actually after time, you can use it without looking at it. And you're just looking at the screen, and it's actually nice for avoiding being distracted. Yeah,
the rotary dial is a little bit hard to use with Apple CarPlay,
which I don't do.
Yeah, which some people don't do. But it's hard to use with Apple CarPlay. But for the native system, I think it works really well. This True Touchpad. So if you're not familiar with it, the idea, it's not a trackpad like the Lexus trackpad is. It's a pad where if you want to touch something in the upper right-hand quadrant of the screen, you touch the upper right-hand quadrant of this touchpad. And so the idea is you touch on the pad, the area where you want to touch on the screen, and I never hit it right. And so I end up kind of swiping, which isn't what you're supposed to do, and that doesn't work well either.
No, it's not as advanced as swiping, unfortunately.
No.
Which is interesting, because every Hyundai Kia device now, you swipe through the menu on the big screen, which is pretty nice. Well, then you know what's great about that? You can put the things you want most on the first screen, so you usually don't have to swipe. And then sub-menus and later things, you can just put, because I think it gives you up to 3 screens.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah, and this system, not cool.
No, I'm gonna do a video, a tech check video on this, because I know there are people out there who love it, but while it's not a deal breaker, if you're looking for a great car that drives really well and is sporty and it looks good and it's upscale and it has really nice interior finishing touches, and you don't care about infotainment, you don't make phone calls while you're driving, you don't listen to podcasts, like none of that is important to you,
People should listen to podcasts.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts, but then you won't care about the infotainment system.
So we should break down this vehicle. 3 trim levels: technology, A-Spec, and Type S. You drove the Type S. The technology is only front-wheel drive. The A-Spec and Type S are only all-wheel drive. Prices start at $45,000, $50,000, and $57,000 respectively.
Yes, so $57,000 is the top tier price. And
that gets you the turbocharged 3-liter.
Yes.
As opposed to a turbocharged 2-liter. So you move from 277 to 355 horsepower. And I ask you, what is the competition for this car?
You know what? That is a great question.
Cadillac CT5, maybe?
Maybe the CT5. It would have been the Camry TRD, but no mas.
Yeah, and then the thing about the Cadillac is that the base trim levels aren't sporty, really. You got to kind of move into something sporty.
Yeah, like the Blackwing.
Well, there's a sporty trim level above that where you can get the a 3-liter turbo, actually.
Yeah.
So that's cool, too. But yeah, because otherwise you're going to like a BMW or Mercedes, and they're so much more expensive.
Yeah, because the Lexus definitely is not competitive, I don't think.
Also, all-wheel drive, affordable. Nice car. I haven't driven one in forever. I remember loving these.
Yeah.
You think this thing would be due for a serious overhaul soon, but I think that overhaul might be just discontinuing it.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, the sales drop this year is a bad omen.
But they did redo the ILX, and it became the Integra, and I think Integra is doing well, and it looks cool, and it's fun to drive, and it has a manual transmission. So that
was a good callback name.
Yeah.
And they may have just, like, if they'd waited another 5 or 10 years, buyers would not remember the Integra name.
So they had to strike while the iron was hot.
Well, yes, actually. I think when you're working with a callback name, you have a limited window.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they don't matter. I mean, no one remembers when they called the Chrysler midsize crossover the Chrysler Aspen, which was actually a terrible Dodge.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, we're talking about a city in Colorado. I'm like, yeah, old people are going to remember a terrible Dodge.
Yeah.
I don't think that actually hurt it, though.
No.
All right. After the break, we're going to talk to Sam Abuelsamid of I lost it. of Greenhouse Insights.
I was going to say, you lost your notes?
Of Guidehouse Insights. I'm having a terrible show.
Yeah, your voice is bad.
Yeah.
We're going to have more, like, email messages.
We are. Although I don't think I said anything wrong yet.
Okay.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Sam.
All right.
Questions or comments?
Drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.
That's carstuff@consumerguide.com. Welcome back to the Car Stuff Podcast.
Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast. I'm starting over. All right, we're back. This is the Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast. I'm Tom, and you are...
Jill most days.
Yeah. All right, Jill. I need
We're
you to...
having a day today, clearly.
I am. I keep having to cough, which isn't good either. Jill, throw me a bone here.
You would like to talk about X Twitter.
I would, yeah. I want people to follow me on X Twitter.
Okay.
I am Car Guy Tom.
Okay.
Here's the problem. I went out Saturday. I test drive the car. That's what I do on Saturdays. I take the car I'm driving out, and I go for a long drive from Palatine, Illinois, up north towards Barrington. And it's a good drive, and I find great cars on this drive. And I use the Car Spotter hashtag to share those great cars.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. I didn't get to them yet.
Oh.
So the Saturday collection is going to go up sometime late Monday.
Okay.
All right.
So it'll be the Monday collection.
Yeah, I am Car Guy Tom on Twitter.
Got it.
All right. Our guest today is one of the most respected analysts in the industry. He is chief analyst and mobility programs at Guidehouse Insights. Welcome to the podcast, Sam Abuelsamid. Sam, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great today. How about you?
I am good. I'm losing my voice, and I apologize for that. And I keep losing my place because maybe I'm sleep deprived, but I'm excited to talk to you. You may not know this, but I've had lunch a couple of times at events, and I really enjoyed talking to you. And we thought, Jill and I were talking, we're like, who can we talk to who can give us a clear view of the second half of the year? It's been a very strange first half of the 2024 model year. Well, not really the model year, calendar year.
Yeah.
Model year is almost over. But we wanted to talk to you about that. But first, tell us a little bit about what you do at Guidehouse Insights.
Yeah, so Guidehouse Insights is the market intelligence arm of Guidehouse Consulting's Energy, Sustainability, and Infrastructure Group. Basically, what we do is we produce research reports that look at a variety of topics related to energy use. I lead the transportation and mobility team, so we produce forecast reports about things like electric vehicle adoption, chargers, batteries, but also areas like automated vehicles, driver assist systems. We also do stuff on connected vehicles and software-defined vehicles, so kind of all the advanced technology stuff in transportation. And then we also do custom research for clients that want to do a deeper dive on specific areas.
Well, cool. Thank you very much. Sam, let's just start with electric cars because that's where things get really weird. We had a lot of manufacturers at the beginning of the year kind of back off. We know Ford backed off production. General Motors very recently backed off their total sales goals for, 2 years from now. They'd hope to hit 1 million units. Everyone seems to be backing off, yet the news from the sales department is not that bad. It seems like electric vehicles are sort of coming back. What is your thought on this weird transition that might not be as bad as it seems?
Yeah, so what has happened is that EV sales have not collapsed, contrary to the headlines you might have seen.
Right.
At least not for most manufacturers. Tesla sales are, in fact, down. But for pretty much everybody else, EV sales have continued to grow. And the problem is they're not growing quite at the same rate as the highly optimistic forecast that a lot of companies had 2 or 3 years ago. A lot of people were figuring that, 2023, 2024, we're going to hit that hockey stick. Sales are just going to take off into the stratosphere.
Right.
And that wasn't quite the case. What we've actually had is, going back to 2020, since 2020, EV sales have been just growing at a steady linear pace. It's not an exponential growth. And, for those with a bit of familiarity with math, you know that when you start with very small numbers, any increase in that gives you a very large percentage increase. Mm-hmm. But as your numbers get bigger and bigger, having that same increase, the percentage growth rate gets smaller and smaller. So what we're seeing is smaller growth rates, but the growth is continuing at roughly the same pace as it has been. So this first half of the year, we had best EV sales yet for the U.S. market. And we're on track for probably somewhere around 1.3 to 1.4 million EVs by the end of the year. That's for battery electric vehicles, plus another probably a couple of 100,000 plug-in hybrids on top of that. So I think we've got the highest market share we've ever had overall for EVs. We're up around 8% now. Is battery electric vehicles. So things are going along. Problem is that automakers made plans based on expecting a much higher rate of growth, and so they invested very quickly, put in a lot of capacity that the market is not quite ready to support yet. And part of that, there's a number of reasons for that. Part of it is interest rates have been very high for the last couple of years, and that and EV prices in 2022, early part of 2023, kind of took off because some of the commodity prices for the batteries spiked following the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Those have now come back down, and so we've seen some leveling off of battery prices and EV prices, but the interest rates are still high, and so affordability is still a challenge. And a lot of people are also still concerned about charging infrastructure, which is also still an issue. But it's getting better little by little.
Sam, speaking of EV prices, there's some interesting stuff going on out there, and we know that the Cadillac Lyriq is selling pretty well. It's the second best-selling Cadillac now, and it's got 18% of Cadillac's market share. But it's also oddly affordable. It seems like it's 10, 12 grand less expensive than you might have expected them to price it. And my question to you regarding that particular pricing is the EV market sort of capped? Are there people are we finding out that the sweet spot for EV sales might be under 60 grand or 70 grand, and you can't really price them much higher than that and do volume?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a market for $100,000 EVs and higher, or $80,000 or $90,000 EVs. But there's always been a natural limit to how many people can afford $80,000 or $90,000 or $100,000 or more cars. And up until 2021. The average transaction price of new cars in the United States we were sitting around $37,000. And then when we hit the supply chain crisis in the latter part of 21, that average transaction price suddenly spiked up to $48,000. And that's a big jump in one step. And most people can't afford that. Most people can afford cars that are, $25,000 to $40,000. That's kind of the limit for the vast majority of the population. And then, there's a limited number of people that can afford those much more expensive vehicles. So what we need is EVs that are in that $30,000 to $40,000 price area, and preferably some that are also less, under $30,000. But 30 to 40 is kind of the sweet spot for the U.S. market right now.
And so, Sam, when you say between $30,000 and $40,000, is that pre or post federal incentive?
That would be the net price that people can afford to pay. So post incentives. Ideally, it'd be nice to get the sticker prices down to that price point. Right. And it's going to get there eventually. And ideally it'd be nice to get them down there sooner, just because of some political uncertainty around the future of the tax credits. So, if people knew they could buy a good EV for $30,000 to $35,000 that has 300 miles of range, they would probably be more inclined to buy it, even if the tax credits went away.
Yeah, well, one of the vehicles that I was really looking forward to in the United States that I think would have hit that sweet spot was the Volvo EX30, and that just keeps getting pushed back, and we're not going to see it until 2025 at this point. It's it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it needs a new home.
Yeah. And the challenge with the EX30 is part of the way Volvo was going to hit that price point was it was going to be produced in China. It's already in production in China. It's on sale there and some other regions. But once the tariffs on Chinese EVs were increased from 25 to 100%, that made that Volvo just couldn't afford to sell that vehicle for $36,000, $37,000. So they already had plans in place to add additional production of that car at their plant in Belgium. And so now they've pushed back the launch of that car in the U.S. market until they can get them out of the plant in Belgium next year.
Yeah.
So, Sam, with EV sales being somewhat less than I think everyone predicted, we've seen that the constituent elements of batteries have come down in price. Are we at a point now where it might be we can make EVs affordable, but if we do that and volume goes up, will we be driving up the cost of batteries again?
That is absolutely a risk in the short term. It's, ideally, what you want to do is you want to balance the supply and the demand as much as you can. If we increase sales, if EVs increase too rapidly and you've got a lot of excess demand, you're going to start to see either companies or dealers raising the price to offset that, to balance out that supply and demand. But one of the things to keep in mind is that up until relatively recently, EV sales were a very small scale market, and batteries. Most of the demand for a lot of the materials was not enough to justify expanding production of those materials that go into the battery, especially things like lithium. Until EVs came along, there wasn't that much demand for lithium. As EV sales started to increase, that demand went up, the price went up. But the thing is, lithium is not actually rare. It's really abundant around the planet in a lot of different forms, including here in North America. There's lithium here. We just have to develop the site, and actually start producing the lithium domestically. And that's happening. That's something that's in progress, but it takes time to get the lithium production and the processing going. And as we go through the next 5-6 years, we will see things like lithium being produced domestically. We're going to see more lithium iron phosphate batteries, which use domestically produced iron and phosphorus. But even some of the nickel batteries, they're increasing the production of nickel for batteries. So we'll see those prices hopefully stay relatively stable unless we have some other shock, like other kinds of geopolitical things that cause price shock.
So, Sam, with sort of the stability out there, is there still a drive, and are we still looking for alternative battery chemistry? You hear a lot about lithium sodium, lithium sulfur, and then there's small use of lithium iron phosphate by some manufacturers. But are we still looking for a breakthrough technology? And where are we with solid state batteries? Is that still? It seems like every time I talk to someone about solid state batteries, they're 5 years away.
Yeah, it's kind of like hydrogen fuel cells. They've been 5 years away for the last 25 years. Yes, everybody is looking at alternative chemistries. Looking at other materials that are easier to get, that are cheaper. Sodium ion is a big one. That there's now CATL, a Chinese battery company, has started production of sodium ion batteries in China, and there's an EV from a company called JAC. They have a joint venture with Volkswagen that is now using a sodium ion battery. There's still fairly limitation of that, but we'll start to see more of that. LFP, the lithium iron phosphate that I mentioned, those are great because they have a bit less energy density than the nickel batteries that are kind of the dominant type that we currently use in North America and Europe, but they're a lot cheaper. So they're about 30 to 40% cheaper to produce because of the materials. They're also a lot safer, and they're more durable. They last a lot longer. You may have heard stories in recent years, about batteries that can last 1 million miles. Well, they're referring to LFP batteries for that. So they can run many thousands of charge cycles on an LFP battery, and it's not going to have you're not going to have fires with those types of batteries because of the nature of the chemistry. And actually, in China, LFP batteries are the dominant type. They account for about 2/3 of the market for EVs in China is lithium iron phosphate batteries. We're just starting to get those here in North America, and there's several new LFP battery plants under construction. Ford's got their plant in Marshall, Michigan that they're building. Our Next Energy is building one in Van Buren Township, Michigan. And then there's a joint venture between Daimler Truck and PACCAR and Cummins that's building an LFP plant in Mississippi. that should be coming online in the next year and a half or so. So there's going to be more LFP available, and that will help make new lower cost EVs available. In fact, GM has already said that when they reintroduce the Chevy Bolt towards the end of next year, they are planning to use LFP batteries.
Oh, I didn't know
car.
that. Interesting.
Yeah.
So the relatively slow adoption of LFP batteries in the U.S. so far is probably due to the fact that those vehicles wouldn't qualify yet for the federal tax credit, right? Because those batteries would be imported?
Yeah, because right now they would primarily be coming from China.
Gotcha.
And so they would not qualify for the IRA tax credit. But we're starting to get, we're getting soon significantly high volume of LFP batteries produced in the U.S.
Cool. I know we were going to talk about all sorts of stuff, Sam, and we got you hooked on the electric car stuff, but I did want to ask you about the industry more broadly. Where do you think sales are going to come in this year? It seems like it's a relatively strong year, but not as robust as perhaps some people thought.
Yeah, it'll probably be, I think our forecast is somewhere around a little over 15 million overall for the U.S. market, and somewhere around 1.3 to 1.4 million EVs out of that.
I got some anecdotal evidence recently that Toyota and Honda still have supply chain issues. And I've got a friend that was looking for a Toyota Sienna, and he said they're simply not to be found in the U.S. Are Toyota and Honda still suffering from the afterquake of the chip shortage? And are there any other manufacturers that still having a hard time getting their supply chain in order?
I think the chip shortage issues are pretty much gone. That's not really an issue, but there's still some occasional disruptions here and there for other components. One of the big lessons that's been learned over the last 3 years is, we had over the last 30, 40 years, we had too much consolidation across the supplier industry. So too few companies producing too many of the components in too few locations.
Right.
And so that leaves you with a very brittle supply chain. So the slightest disruption anywhere in that chain, because of a global pandemic or geopolitical tensions or natural disasters like earthquake, fire, flood, that all ultimately can have an impact throughout the chain. And so what the industry has been moving towards over the last couple of years is trying to develop a more diverse supply chain. So producing more stuff locally, so you've got a more resilient supply chain. And that also helps from a sustainability standpoint.
Sure.
Because if you're not shipping parts around the world, when you're shipping stuff around the world, there's a lot of emissions associated with that transportation and a lot of cost. So the more you can produce where the product is going to be used, that is better for sustainability as well as just overall resilience of the supply chain.
That makes sense. Sam, thank you so much for your time today. If you can, tell us how we can learn more about Guidehouse Insights.
Yeah, you can go to guidehouseinsights.com. That's GUIDEHOUSE, and you can see the reports that we've got published, and you can contact us. If you're anybody that's interested in either buying the syndicated reports or that needs some custom research.
Excellent. Sam, thank you so much for your time. I hope we can have you back on again.
Happy to do it anytime.
Looking forward to it. That was Sam Abuelsamid with Guidehouse Insights. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's Quiz time.
Questions or comments?
Drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.
That's carstuff@consumerguide.com. Welcome back to the Car Stuff Podcast.
All right, we're back. This is the Car Stuff Podcast. I'm Tom. She's Jill, and she has not chosen a donut yet. You've been whiny about the donuts lately, so today I've forced you into a position where you had to pick a donut that was outside of your comfort zone.
Well, at least you didn't bring pink, which is going to give me hives. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we have, I think, I don't know what that coconut is called. That might be a German chocolate. Delicious. Banana filled. And then whatever that sparkly holiday 4th of July looking thing is.
That's not pink, thankfully.
No, that's just like a regular cake donut frosted.
Yeah, you had one
with
last
unnecessary
week
color.
that was very similar, that had the pink dye on it.
which you've eaten in the past.
And it gave me hives.
All right.
Yeah.
What am I forgetting?
No hives.
Oh, you have social media stuff.
I do, and I may even post a picture of the donuts there.
I already did, but yes,
I saw
you should
did.
as well. Yeah.
I liked it. I'll probably put it in my stories. No, so social media, yeah. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok. All the things is the end of that story at Jill Simonello, which is just my name, first and last name, all mushed together. And then I use the hashtag car du jour.
And somehow you put different content on all of these things?
I do. Well, so here's the problem I run into. TikTok, I have to post videos that are 3 minutes or longer, and they're vertical. Then, if you want to post the same video on YouTube as a YouTube short, you have to go 1 minute or less. So you can't put the same things on TikTok that you would put on YouTube. And then you have the whole horizontal if you want like a horizontal video on YouTube. And then Reels are 1:30. And so, yeah, different stuff on each thing.
Already then.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting to listen to.
I know.
Yeah.
It's exhausting, but I'm there. And follow me, talk to me, comment. I like people to engage with me.
I'm going to throw this out. I'm on Facebook too, but I don't do as much car stuff on Facebook. I do a lot of my radio visit stuff, which is car stuff. So my visits with Nick DiGilio, Patty Vasquez, Steve and Johnny. I always promote those there.
Yeah, I post a little bit of car stuff, a little bit of me stuff on Facebook. So.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Guess what time it is?
It is time for that thing you do.
People don't know this, but you called me last night and you're like, Tom, I really want to do more spelling stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So today's quiz.
Did not, by the way.
Today's quiz is Mo Spellin.
Mo Spellin, as in M-O?
Yep.
Apostrophe? Yeah.
Spellin.
Spellin. You
I-N
dropped
apostrophe.
an R there. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Because that was so popular. You loved it.
Oh, thrilled with it.
I thought we would return to the topic.
Awesome.
And cars can be difficult to spell.
They can.
All right. Are you ready?
No.
We'll talk about the rules. There are 5 questions.
Okay, yes.
You need to get 3 right total, including the bonus question, which is always very much related to the topic of the day.
It is always related.
Yeah.
And super hard.
All right. First one is the Renault Fuego, available in the U.S. between 1982 and 1985.
Okay.
Yeah, the Fuego. Funny story. Our friend Dave Sloan, retired manager of the Chicago Auto Show, once had 3 Fuegos. The story goes his father worked for American Motors, and executives got lease deals.
Got it.
So he had
3
kids,
of them.
lots of drivers.
Yeah.
They got Fuegos. Now you must spell Fuego.
So if it is spelled like the Spanish word fire.
Could be.
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
I would say Fuego.
Correct.
Fuego.
You're on the board.
I am en fuego.
There you go.
Yes.
All right. Next one.
Okay.
A lot of vowels. Are you ready? Volkswagen Touareg.
Oh, yes.
An editor's nightmare.
Yeah, I remember the first article that I wrote about this vehicle. It was like tow rag. Like, how do you pronounce it? I think that was in my lead was tow
This
rag.
became controversial.
Twa rag.
First of all, the vehicle was very flawed from the launch. There was lots and lots and lots of recalls and technical service bulletins. But also, Touareg turned to be, it's the name of a nomadic tribe, a nomadic tribe, but they kept slaves, which made this name unpopular.
Yeah, so needless to say, it is no longer around.
For a bunch of reasons. Also, it was very expensive.
Yeah, well,
it was priced against Mercedes and BMW products.
And it was originally, if I'm not completely wrong about this, this is like 2003 me thinking about this, I think it was built on the same platform in the same factory as the Porsche Cayenne.
Why am I blanking this? That sounds right. I believe that's right.
Yeah. Okay, so Touareg, Touareg. I think it has been years since I've spelled it, but I think it is Touareg.
You're on a roll.
All right.
You're on a roll, baby. You got that one, or you've got 2. You're going to win this one. Plymouth Belvedere.
Oh, man. I can't even spell.
Available from 1954 to 1970 in different configurations. It was replaced more or less by the Satellite.
I have no idea, so we'll just start there. But I will say Belvedere.
No I. No I.
okay.
Yeah, it's all straight E's. Belvedere. Belvedere.
Okay.
You didn't get that one?
No.
But that one was tough. Are you ready?
Yes.
Another Renault.
Okay.
Dauphine.
Renault.
Dauphine.
Oh, like the French king, like the...
It's like the heir apparent, right?
Yeah, the heir apparent.
Like the elder son.
Dauphine.
Yeah, 1957 to 1966. Rear-engine car. Fun fact, a lot of these cars were gutted to become the Henny Kilowatt, one of the first commercially available electric vehicles in the U.S.
Okay.
Well, first modern era. There were lots and lots of them early.
Okay.
I don't want a letter on that. I know that there were electric cars at the turn of the century.
No letters, please.
Yeah, I know this.
What was that? Car stuff at...
Dauphine.
Dauphine, which I believe is French for dolphin, isn't it?
For dolphin?
Yeah.
We just said it was, I don't know.
But I think it
Really?
is also the French word for dolphin. Maybe I'm wrong. You can write letters on that.
All right.
Or
Yeah.
text Tom.
Yeah, I'm losing interest,
Dauphine.
but you can write letters on it. Yeah.
Dauphin. You're giving me a funny look there.
Give me that again.
Dauphin.
Uh-huh. Do you want to add anything?
E.
There you go. All right.
I'd like to add an E for $25.
All right. You're going to need to get one more because that's like a half point. Buick Somerset. It was on the General Motors N body. It was the two-door companion to the Skylark between 1984 and 1987, after which the two-door just became the Skylark.
So is that Somerset or is it Somerset?
How are those different?
SU versus SO.
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be pronounced like... I can't help you. I can't help you.
Oh, I think it's going to have to be SO, because Somerset, SUMMER, would be weird.
It is one word.
I'm going to say SOMERSET.
Wow. Wow, that's correct. Nice job. You got 4. 4 out of 5 on the spelling
or
test.
3.5, as you like to say.
Yeah, we might pass on the spelling test for a little while after that. All right, it's bonus question time, which we do even though we don't need to because that's what we do.
Is there spelling involved?
There is not.
Thank goodness.
All right, best described as fake potatoes served in a can. Pringles chips have been compromising Americans' health since 1968. Per Pringles.com, which of the following is not a Pringles variety? I love Pringles, by the way.
I actually oddly like them as well.
Yeah. I watched someone on YouTube last night when I should have been working make Pringles mashed potatoes. And I expected because this was a video on YouTube, it would turn out well. They look like hell.
But maybe it tasted good.
That's what the guy said.
And were they sour cream? Like
he just added
Pringles?
he did add, no. Yes, there was like 3 or 4 varieties dumped in there.
Because like sour cream, the sour cream and onion or whatever ones, those are really good. And I could see those being very good in mashed potatoes.
All right, I need you to tell me which of the following is not a Pringles variety available right now in the U.S.
Okay.
U.S. is key because they have really cool ones in Mexico too.
Okay.
Ready? Mm-hmm. Scorching hot cream and onion, or sour cream and onion. Everything bagel. Mm-hmm. Philly cheesesteak. Choco taco. Before we move forward, have you watched any of this weird ramen stuff?
No.
There's a ramen purveyor, like, instant ramen, that's selling all these weird sweet flavors of ramen.
No.
Yeah,
just no.
It's weird. All right.
Okay, so Philly cheesesteak sounds weird to me, and then Choco taco?
Do you know what a Choco taco is?
It sounds like chocolate tacos.
You're not familiar with the Choco taco?
No.
Oh my gosh, you know what a drumstick is? An ice cream drumstick?
Yeah, I guess so.
Basically the same thing, but this is more taco. It's like the whole world lost its mind because the Choco taco was discontinued like a year and a half ago, and they already brought it back.
What? Who makes the Choco taco?
I don't remember.
It's like
let's say good humor, but that's probably not right.
But it's in like the ice cream section.
Yeah.
Okay, a sweet Pringle is beyond me, so I'm gonna go with that one.
You're right. Yeah, no Choco taco.
I'm like, ugh.
All right, but they do make a Philly cheesecake. They do make an everything bagel, and they do make a scorching hot sour cream and onion. Plus, they do. I don't know how to pronounce this now. The Mexican street corn, is that atole? They do that flavor too.
No, what is it? You've completely
Elotes.
Yeah, elotes.
Elotes.
That's it.
I got it.
I'm like, Etole? What? I'm like,
E.
you've messed
coli?
me- I'm like, I know it starts with an E, but it's not that.
E. coli chips suck.
Elote. Yeah, they would not be good.
All right. We got like 4 minutes left, and you wanted to get to a story you're working on or have finished?
I have finished.
All right. On a topic we've never talked about before.
We've never talked about it. Okay, I can't let sleeping dogs lie. Clearly.
Tell me about it.
Clearly, it's like I'm just picking a scab here. Apple CarPlay. So one of our colleagues at another publication wrote a story about no CarPlay, no problem. And
I may
then
have actually seen that.
and then proceeded to say, well, he never uses his phone in the car. I'm like, well, of course it's no problem for you because you don't use your phone in the car.
All right. That's... There are things you just can't write about.
No.
Like, I don't write about figure skating.
No.
All right.
Because you don't figure skate.
Right.
But so at
Nor
any
should
rate, so he said that it's no problem. So I wrote my opinion piece saying no Apple CarPlay. Yes, it is a problem. And what I want to stress with this is not that Google built-in is bad, because Google built-in is a great system.
We'll talk about what that is.
So this is the
and
new...
the horrible thing it is for editors.
This is the new operating system that automakers like Ford and General Motors and Volvo have started to adopt. And they're using that for their maps, for their Google Assistant. So you could say like, hey, Google, set my climate to 72 degrees. And then you don't need to touch anything. Your climate will go to 72 degrees.
So wait a minute. The new GM system is going to use Google built-in?
Yes.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
So here's my question. From a security point of view and a licensing point of view, how is that better than Apple for GM?
So they are using it, and Volvo does the same thing with their electric vehicles. They kind of pair it with their powertrain system, and because the Google Maps are so accurate with traffic and speed and weather and all of those things, you can very accurately predict your range for how much battery life you have to get to your destination.
So is that the claimed attraction of Google built-in for EVs?
Yes.
Is this really good control and reporting of range and charge?
It is really flipping accurate, very good. I love that aspect of the system. However, where the system falls down is if you have an iPhone, or even if you have an Android phone, it doesn't have Google, like it doesn't have Android Automotive or whatever. It's like the operating system. So you can't access your past voicemails. So if you get into your car and you have 10 voicemail messages and you just wanted to listen to them all while you were driving 3 hours to, say, Indianapolis, you can't do that without touching your phone. If you wanted to listen to past text messages, which,
okay, here's
you can't do that
thing.
either.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I try to get a hold of you, and I text you, and I get a message that says you're ignoring your texts.
Yes.
So why do you care?
That's true.
You're ignoring
because
me.
I'm waiting until I'm driving to Indianapolis for 3 hours to check all of my text messages.
All right.
But no, it's one of those things.
And then she still doesn't get back to me.
Well, that's because I was kind of busy this weekend. Sorry.
All right.
But so I just, I want to be able to do simple things like that. And then the other part of it was podcasting. I'm a very big podcast listener, and I like to queue up my podcasts on my phone. And then when I go into Apple CarPlay, all I have to do is hit the first podcast, and then it goes down the line of my queue that I've already set up. Well, you're going to have to download a new podcasting app, and so it's a little bit of work to get it set up.
Will that integrate with the Google built-in?
If you download the Google Podcast app, not the iTunes or the Apple Podcast app.
So if you're using iTunes for your podcasts, you can't use that anymore.
No.
Okay. Or can you keep a parallel app? That seems like a
you'd
pain
have
in
to
the
keep
ass.
you'd have to keep a parallel app. And so the thing is you have Google built-in, and a lot of automakers are pairing that with Apple CarPlay, which to me is the best of all the worlds. But there are some automakers that are dropping Apple CarPlay in favor of Google built-in only. So in addition to not being able to have access to things that you could do on your phone that you can do with Apple CarPlay, Google built-in is a subscription-based fee.
I have a question, and you just researched this topic. Has Apple come out with an official statement on any of this?
No.
That's interesting.
Not that I've seen.
Yeah, because there was concern a few years ago when we started using CarPlay that Apple was taking over the interior of the car. And to some extent, that was true. And I think there is some pushback there. Apple is this third party, and why we want to give them this much control of the car. Plus,
cool.
whatever revenue there's to be made from spying on people, the manufacturer wants that money.
Yeah, but I'm already letting one thing spy on me. I don't need to let two things spy on me.
All right, so you've got the article. We'll share that on Facebook in the show notes, as we now call them.
Yes, we will put it in our show notes.
All right, that was a show. It was a good show, apart from me having a scratchy voice and losing my place a lot of times.
Yeah, and hopefully you're not sick so that I don't get sick.
Yeah, I don't think I am. I think I was screaming. I think that was it. All right, thanks to Sam Abuelsamid of Guidehouse Insights. Thank you, Jill. Thanks to producer Randy and the good folks here at Talk Zone. A shout out to my friend Steve and Johnny, whom I join this coming Saturday at midnight Central Time in Chicago on WGN Radio. Do listen in. That's it.
Okay.
It feels like I should have written another line. All right, let's talk more about cars again.
Next week.
Remember to check us out at consumerguide.com.
The Car Stuff Podcast is produced by J-Turn Media.
To advertise on the show, please drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.